Welcome back, everybody. I am really excited to talk to somebody who has appeared on some of my favorite shows and shows that one is an Emmy basically winning everything show that he was a part of early on, and the other is the show that I truly enjoy for the last couple of years. I'm a few episodes behind, but I'm talking about The Boys, and the first show was, of course, Schitt's Creek. Please welcome to the show, Mishka Thebaud.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Listen, Shockwave, for to have the Shockwave on the show, I'm shocked just by having that. I talked to my associate who's kind of reaching out to all the publicists and everybody else. I said, listen, I love Boys. I need to have I need to have as many people from the Boys as I can get. So you are the first one that's coming on from the Boys. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Schitt's Creek, I actually talked to another wonderful Canadian actress that did a bit part in Schitt's Creek before. So you're the second from Schitt's, and we're working on getting the other folks on because I love that show. My daughter loves that show. The Boys, I'm watching alone. My kids, I'm not allowed.
Yeah, not really for kids. Not really for kids.
Yeah, I have a 16-year-old daughter and an almost an 11-year-old son, and the son is like keeps speaking at it like, "What are you watching?" Oh, Boys. Like, yeah, not yet, but not yet.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing premise. I did not read the comic books. I wasn't aware that it existed in the comics until obviously it came out, and it's on Prime. And last year I just kind of happened to come across it, like, yeah, whatever, I'll watch it. And then the first scene is like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, sure,
Yeah.
I'm in, and then that was it. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. They
So
don't mess around with that show.
they do not, and thank God that they don't.
Yeah.
I don't want them to mess around. Again, there are certain things that, now that I read a little bit more about the comics, there are certain things that they should probably stay away from.
Yes.
But they're going as far as they can go, including the giant penis and all. So
Exactly. Exactly.
I still feel so bad for the whale. I feel poor Deep. They keep
Yeah.
killing his friends. I feel terrible, but it's the mark of the show that it's going there. It's not just
Yeah.
pretending; it's going there. And if you're a butcher and you're seeing that thing in front of you, what are you gonna do? That's exactly what you're gonna do. And I love shows that are taking these risks and they're not backing away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you play Shockwave. If people are not
Yes.
familiar, because you're not wearing your orange and gray. I'm doing, actually, I'm more Shockwave than you are at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh, um, so that again, I think from what I read, please correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I read, it started out as a guest spot, and then they kept on kind of deciding to bring you back for more episodes. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I thought it was just going to be the race, and some more things just kept happening. So it was nice.
Yeah, and again, we're not going to push because I'm sure you can't say anything, but we've seen you recently, so there might be some other stuff that's happening. And speaking of the popularity of the show, Aaron Moriarty is another person that I would love to talk to, and I was kind of doing some research, and she's spoken to a friend of mine on his show. So the thing that blew me away is when you look at the IMDb star rating. Do you know what her star rating is right now? It blew my
No.
mind. 3.
Wow.
3.
Wow.
Now, I know, based on what's happening with COVID, you're not going to have a lot of movies. There's basically nothing being open. So you have mostly streaming services, but 3?
Right.
Right now, her star rating is 3. And when you're looking at, Anthony Starr, his star
Yeah.
rating is, I think, 22 or something like that. It's
Right.
ridiculous how popular the show really is right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's blowing up. It's a huge show right now. And just like you said, because we're in the middle of COVID, like a lot of people,
Yeah.
are running out of things to watch, so they're jumping on it as soon as it comes out. So it's working in their favor in that way.
And I'm so happy that they decided to, again, it's a very intelligent thing to do. Instead of releasing like they did with the first one, instead of releasing everything up front, they're doing every Friday. So they're really creating this
Yeah,
this ability for people to not just digest and go away, but to keep them at it. It's a brilliant
yeah.
decision. As a user, I hate it. As an entrepreneur, I love it. I
I get that. Yeah, I hate it as well as a user.
Yeah, I know. So, but you guys are done shooting. You were done, I think, a little while ago, right? With shooting season
Yeah,
2, right? Yeah.
yeah, correct.
So now you can just sit back and watch and see what kind of makes it in there, because I'm assuming, from being on set and knowing that there's a lot of stuff being shot, not all of it
Yeah.
is you. So do you know, kind of going into it, it's like, yeah, in this up, oh crap, it's not here. So do you have that happen too, or you're kind of used to it?
No, it's mostly just been me. I haven't had a moment like that. The stuff that where it is basically kind of stuff that we filmed offset
Yeah.
and just where we did it in certain rooms with certain cameras or stuff like that, where they're using it in a way that I don't know what's going to happen to it. So I'll watch it and there's like a commercial or there's like, a photo, like certain ways of them using my character. I
Mhm.
had no idea how they were going to go about doing that.
Yep.
But the parts of me, it is me in the suit because they made the suit to fit me specifically, which
Nice.
was yeah, and it was a very long time for them to create that suit. It took about I had about like 9 or 10 fittings alone, so it was a very very long process. They made it from scratch, like so much work went into that suit. So because of that, unfortunately, only I could fit in it, so they had to shoot me with me mostly in it. So that's right.
But that brings up a whole host of other issues. So number one is that, they made this suit in season 1. That means that, did they do digital scanning of your body and, body fat percentages and everything else, and say, Mishka, you can't gain any weight or you can't lose any weight. So you have to be the same, 9 months later.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right about that. Actually, a funny thing happened. So they did actually do the face scan, the body scan,
Yeah.
all that stuff, mainly for CGI. But when I first did, I got fitted. They made the suit, and until it was comfortable and it fit, there were so many trials for it, and then we got it to a perfect place. So here's the funny thing that happened for season 2. The suit, because it was kept in based on where it was stored, the
Okay.
weather ate it all up, and it got mold on it. It got completely destroyed. So when they decided to bring me back for season 2, they had to build an entire suit all over again. So I guess that's where I was lucky. I mean, my body size, I'm pretty sure it was the same,
Yeah.
but they had to build a new one anyways. So, and we had to go through that. And actually, the second suit I think turned out much, much like even like far superior than the first one.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that suit would be exceptionally comfortable. Um, and I mean, okay, we talk about Flash and we talk about, kind of you as a runner, you're going to
Yeah.
have something that's form fitting. It's not comfortable. Your
Yes.
suit seemed a little more comfortable than the Flash's. I'm not sure that it really was though.
It might have looked more comfortable, but to be honest, I think well the first suit
Yeah,
specifically was pretty uncomfortable. Like I
yeah.
think that one was much worse, but the second one wasn't as uncomfortable. But you're never comfortable to the point where it's like, oh, I could be in this all day. I mean, anybody who plays a superhero, I find most of them actually just can't stand the costumes. And but yeah, it was fun. It was totally cool to be wearing that. So I didn't care. I was like, this is gonna be
Hmm.
fine. But when we shot the race, actually,
Yeah.
that was the hardest day because it was just the hottest day of the summer that day out in Hamilton, and it was because the sun was on us the entire day, and we had to be out there sprinting in short bursts. But yeah,
Well, hopefully a lot of water and a lot of shade and a lot of kind of a little breaks between, because yeah, that could be tough.
yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, you're an athletic guy, but still, what people don't necessarily realize is that acting takes a tremendous toll on your body, on your mind, on your emotions, and then having to wear a suit on top of it, and then having to race over and over. I
Yeah.
can't imagine
Yeah.
that was any easy trick to do.
No, yeah, no, yeah, it's got its challenges for sure, but I mean, you're so pumped with adrenaline as well, so that definitely helps, and as long as you love what you're doing, you're gonna enjoy it. So, I didn't complain at all. I'll never complain. It's just grateful for the moment, grateful for the opportunity, and just
Yeah.
having fun with it. That's it.
So no compound V needed. You had your adrenaline going. That was
That's right. I raced fairly. Okay,
that's
A
fine.
Train's one of he's a
I
cheater.
know. I know. So, and by the way, we saw your cat, so that's very cool that you have a cat
Oh, is
there.
he?
Yeah, he went behind you, so he's somewhere in there. Yeah. So who's again? On set, there's always some sort of a rivalry going. So
Yeah.
between Shockwave and A Train, we know who really won. But is there a rivalry between you and the actor who plays A Train, whose name escapes me at the moment?
Jesse.
Yes,
We had a very it was a good rivalry behind the scenes. We trash talked so much, but in the funniest way, the kindest way. We'd always laugh at each other. He's just such a friendly, such a nice guy, and I think right off the top, he kind of set that environment and that chemistry between us. He came at me a little, and that's when I knew it was okay to come at him a little. And then from there on, we just kept joking with each other, and it allowed us to play on set, have some fun, and play within the moment, and just let things happen when they did. And that's always fun as an actor.
So I'm sure that there has to have been a foot race between the two of you. Just forget Shockwave and A Train, but just you and Jesse. Did you do any racing? Are you allowed to say who won?
I want to set this. I want to put this out there because basically, whenever we did our short bursts,
Okay.
and they filmed and stuff like that, for I think like the first 3 or 4 shots that we did that, we totally looked at each other and we're like, we're gonna race for real.
Okay.
And I'm not just I'm not an overconfident guy or anything, but I beat him. I beat him each time. Okay, I was definitely faster than him. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Okay.
I definitely.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. Jesse, if you're watching, you're welcome to come on the show and tell your side of the story.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then the cool goggles. I know you said the suit kind of went to waste after season one, but were the goggles that as well, or did they at least give you a chance to take them home and have them?
They had quite a few pairs of those. I actually meant to get one and forgot on my last day for the season, and then I just I'd love to get a pair, but unfortunately I didn't get one. But yeah, they had quite a few of those, which was really cool. Yeah, I really
Yeah.
like the shades.
Yeah, and I love the color. Again, I mean, I'm sure people
Yeah.
can notice. I love orange and shades of it, but did you at all have any input of, we knew that A Train is blue, but did you have any opinions, or did anybody ask you, hey, what color do you want to be, or they basically set it up?
They set it up. I came in on my first day of fitting, and they had the design sketched out.
Yeah.
They made a lot of changes throughout the creation and things like that. But I think based on how it looked on me, that's how they made those changes. But the color scheme was mostly the same at the beginning. They made some changes and stuff, but it was always primarily orange and kind of going from there. I know that because there's another Shockwave character within the I don't know which comic universe, but in a different universe, I think it's Marvel.
Mhm.
And so they had to make sure to stay completely away from that character. So they wanted to make
Okay.
sure their character did not, have any of those designs or color schemes. So they try to keep it
Yeah,
their own unique Shockwave in this world.
I get you. No, that makes sense. It's a really good design. I like it. So
Yeah,
um,
same.
they did a nice job. Speaking of the DCU and the MCU, if you had to play a character from DCU and then another character from MCU, which character would you say, oh, that's mine, I got to play that?
That's tough. I'm a big fan of villains.
Okay.
So I mean, it's too big of a task. I mean, like it's too big shoes to fill, but who wouldn't want to play the Joker? I mean, that's just one of the most iconic characters, right? It's tough shoes to fill for sure. And then I think in the other side actually would be a hero. I think Marvel wise, I'd love Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's one of my all-time favorites. So I think either one of those would just be a blast to play. Absolutely.
Hey, listen, with the Spider multiverse, they're gonna have many Spider-Man. You have 3 already,
That's
so
true.
you could be the
That's
4th.
true.
And then there's Spider-Woman as well. Is it Spider-Woman or Spider-Girl? Sorry, comic fans.
Right. I think it's Spider-Girl. Yeah. But yeah, for sure. For sure.
So there's a chance. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah. It's the interesting thing with Joker is, again, it's an iconic role, but it seems that you have more and more people that are kind of bringing their takes, and if they're smart, and I'm not saying that I'm brilliant, but if they're smart, it's an opportunity to kind of have Joker be passed from one person to another and have a different take on that. It's like that James Bond, but in a 1 or 2 film segments. I think that way it'll continue being fresh and interesting, because I think everybody has done a tremendous job.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah. It's. I was just gonna say it's tough shoes to fill when it's just as a viewer I became such a big fan just from Heath Ledger's Joker and Jack Nicholson's Joker. So it's like I love that character so much. So I can see how much fun it would be to play. But yes, at the same time, it's hard. It's got to be so hard as an actor to create your own unique spin on a character that's been done so many times, and like just the level of which it's been played. So that's where, like, but who doesn't want that challenge, right? It's a nice challenge as an actor, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge, man. And the fan base, I mean, if you don't get it right, they're coming for you. You're done. So that there's so much pressure with within that. So it's interesting. It's just an interesting role for sure.
Yeah, and you probably have to go full method to do it, and only a few people can really pull it off. So it's one of those really, really difficult roles that I'm definitely not good enough to play. So yeah. I'm glad that you're at least thinking about it. It shows the type of person that you are and the actor that you aspire to be. So that's a good sign right there. And you're in Toronto. So from what I understand, please correct me again if I'm wrong, but The Boys is shot in Toronto. Is that correct, or somewhere around?
Yes. Yeah, it shoots in Toronto and all along the greater Toronto area. So just in and out of the city, plenty of different locations within the city. So
yeah, Toronto, again, I'm in Chicago, so Toronto, Chicago, we can look like many other places, and you can do New York, you can do any metropolitan city. So it's a great place to be. I think I can actually see a few buildings out of your window depending on the light.
Yep.
That's cool. And you're originally from Haiti, am I correct?
Yes,
yeah.
that is
when,
correct.
When did you come to Toronto?
I think it's been 10 years now. Yeah, 10 years.
All right.
Yes. I was in Haiti. I grew up all in Haiti. I was born in Miami, but I've never lived in the States, or at least not in Miami. And and then grew up in Haiti for 19 years, and then came after I finished school down there. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but came to Canada. I have 2 older brothers. They came to Canada as well, so I just kind of followed in their footsteps and was like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out. So it's been 10 years here.
Nice. And how did the whole idea of acting come about for you? You said that you were deciding of what it is that you wanted to do with your life. Where did acting fit into that?
So in Haiti, I would do little sketches for school, in front of the school, things like that. We never had an acting class or anything like that. So for me, it was just kind of a hobby, almost like playing sports. I play basketball, so it was kind of like that. It was just, it was just fun. It was just fun. So I started, doing some sketches and performing some sketches on stage, and it never took it seriously. It was just something for absolute fun and pleasure. And as I finished school, I really, really could not figure out what I wanted to do. And I never thought of, I just didn't think, I guess just being in Haiti, it's really difficult to kind of, because it seems so far of a thing to reach. And in terms of acting in Hollywood, and just, it just seems like a bubble. And so it seems far when you're down there. And then, so when I moved to Canada, I took a year off, didn't go to school. I just took a year off and worked some jobs and just kind of took my time trying to figure it out. And my brothers actually were the ones that pushed me. They said, why don't you just try acting, right? And so I was like, all right, fine. So I auditioned for some schools. It was kind of just out of annoyance and just like, all right, fine, I'll do that. I just auditioned for some schools, and I was like, if I get in, then I'll put the hard work in, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if I really do, find something here, and if I really do love it. And that's essentially what happened. I got into school, and about I'd say my third year is when it really hit me, and when I was really like, I want to do this. And it all just kind of came together. It was just, I really, really just started enjoying it, just through Shakespeare, through tons of different forms of acting, theater especially, and then eventually moving on to film and TV and things like that. So yeah, that's how I got there.
That's very cool. And again, Toronto is a beautiful place. It's a great acting community. There are a lot of projects that are down in Toronto, so it's a good fertile ground to explore. Yeah,
exactly.
Now, actually, the interesting part of Toronto, in talking to a lot of the actors from Canada, we're in a way, Toronto and Chicago, even though there are more projects in Toronto now, but we have that same mentality that if you want to work in the city, you have to go to LA.
That's true.
And it's because it's that secondary market mentality. Now it's different. Certainly it is for Toronto and Vancouver. There's a lot more stuff done there. But do you still find that that's the case, where to be a main character in a series, you have to be from LA or New York?
I think it's less true now, like you said, especially today. I feel like, especially with COVID and people doing things from home, it allows us. I mean, everything is self tapes at the moment, and Zoom auditions.
Yep.
So essentially now, if you're not in that city, you can't audition for things in those cities, for those casting directors, no matter where you are technically. But yes, I mean, in the end of it, I do think that being in LA is if that's what you want to achieve, be a series regular, be a lead on something, you do have to, I think, go there at some point, and you gotta get into rooms, you gotta meet people, you gotta, and I have done that. I have gone to LA actually just these past few years, and got representation down there, have had tons of meetings with different networks, and have started getting into rooms and getting a lot of progress down there. So it's good. It's stepping stones, but I do think it is important, and it's funny because it will ultimately help you in a big way wherever, like if you do go back to Toronto, if you do go to Chicago, it helps you in a big way there, right? So yeah, it's just so that they can see you, they can know you, and so that if you are self-taping or if you are auditioning for something, we're like, oh, we know this guy, so they can trust you a little more. So it definitely helps.
It's true, because it's really all about trust and relationships. If they know you and they know that you're a good guy on set, then you can be professional about your work, and then it makes things a lot easier for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you've kind of had from the Canadian experience, right? So you did as Schitt's Creek, which I adore, and thank God that, for streaming services that were able to watch it, because I caught on it probably, I think, after season 2, I became aware of it, just because of Netflix, and then started watching it, and was telling everybody about it before it kind of got notoriety out here. But you were in it fairly early, and I know, when listening to Dan talk about it, Dan Levy, he was saying that it's just kind of a really small show. We decided to do this, and we didn't know that it's going to go blow up. So when you were there, did it feel like it's kind of the small family show in the middle of quote unquote nowhere, where you didn't know whether it's going to be something big or not?
I mean, interesting. Like these were early days for me, even in starting my acting career. But I still remember going there. I mean, it all happened really, really fast. That's what I remember. But going there and knowing Eugene Levy, and Catherine O'Hara. I mean, these are legends, right? So, so I was starstruck immediately just being on set. It was a great experience. But I because of those two alone, I mean, there's always going to be potential. So I had my thoughts, but once I got on set and we did the work, we were shooting and things like that, I could tell there was something. I could tell it was going to be something. I knew it was going to be a long run. I was pretty sure right off the bat. I thought Dan was really funny. I thought Dan was really, 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 really funny. Like the first day when I saw, I was like, this guy might be the funniest on the show to me. Like he was really funny to me. So I could tell pretty early on, and it did have that small family type feel. It was really small, and because it was the first season, it would have been, it would have been more interesting to see, in the later seasons, if I had been on the set, it would be, I could only imagine, how much more of a tight knit family it was on set. I can only imagine. So, but first season, it was already so many elements of that, and you could tell that was shaping up, and they were still figuring it out. They were still working, creating that chemistry and stuff. But it was, all the potential was there, and in my opinion, I could see the blowing up happening and where it is now. I mean, to have the Emmy sweep though, that's incredible. So I couldn't have foresaw that, but congrats to them, props to them, because they deserve it. So
it's definitely deserved. Everybody that I know that I talked to that has watched the series, everybody loves it. So I didn't find anybody who started watching it and said, yeah, whatever, it's not for me. Nope, nobody. Everybody loved it, including myself. It's that kind of there's so much heart to it. And again, like the boys, they're tackling issues. They're not shying away from anything. Same thing with Schitt's Creek, but they were dealing with things that are much more grounded in our reality. So dealing with that and being open to it and being creative and loving about it is just it's one of those shows that you treasure. And I don't remember if I cried when I found out that it finished its run. I definitely cried during the last episode, that's for sure. So it'll always remain one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's huge over here in Canada, as you would imagine.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And again, it's like I've been lucky that I get to talk to Sujith Verghese is a fan of the show, and one of the earliest people that I've had on, and he's on two of the biggest shows in Canada, a comedy and a drama. Kim's and Transplant. So
Transplant, of course. Right.
I love Kim, and again, it's like, I don't know if it's a Canadian sensibility of creating a show that is funny, it's sensitive, it has the heart, and it also shows a world that is like ours but better than ours, and the world that we should be striving to be coming as close as we can to it. And both of Kim's and Schitt's Creek are both in that same feel for me, and I love it. Yeah. So again, I think half of the people that I've interviewed are Canadian actors, either from Toronto or Vancouver. So it's like it seems like it's becoming more and more close to me, and I tend to watch more shows as well. So I love it. Um, in terms of acting, right? So I've heard you mention that in just a few minutes ago, you've mentioned that as you were kind of going through school, as you were experiencing Shakespeare, and then you started to kind of fall in love with it. What would you say is your acting approach after having gone through the training and now, 10 years, well, 6, 7 years later, being on Dark Matter, being on The Boys, doing some things? What is your bitten? Is there another one? What is your approach and something that you can say, okay, this works for me?
Right. No, that's a good question. And that's what I really got out of going to school, was because uh, the thing about acting is that's challenging compared to other, professions and whatnot, is, for example, a violinist or a musician can every day pick up, an instrument, or an athlete can pick up a ball. Like, it's just much easier for them to work on that specific thing every single day. And by doing that, you're going to figure out, you're going to learn what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and how to improve on those. So that's what
Mhm.
school did for me. It was basically just a playground of just, let me
Mhm.
try all of these different things, learn these different techniques, learn from all these different teachers and how they do things, and then just apply it to myself and see what works. So I
Right.
always saw it as like, what works for me, as
Right.
opposed to, because sometimes I feel like people can be like, okay, so I have to do this, but that's not it, right? So for me, it was just kind of exploring all these different things and then building what worked best for me, and also just having the ability to just, like, once you keep doing stuff over and over again, you're able to just develop new skills. And so uh, the shows and plays and things like that we did at school allowed me to just develop new skills, which, as soon as I was able to tap into something, and then the goal was to be able to tap into it again. Can I get there again? Can I do it
Yep.
again? Right? That's what we're all trying to do. And as soon as you get there, you get a confidence of, okay, so I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And then so it becomes part of your whatever, your acting bag or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Your bag of skills.
The
And
toolkit.
so I think for school, that's what school did for me, is it helped me have this, just bag of skills that I could go into and get whatever I needed when I needed it. And I had the confidence for that. So coming out into the real world and doing auditions for film and TV, I found that incredibly useful, and, well, a necessity to a certain degree, because you just don't have the same amount of time. I mean, if you're doing a theater show, you work on it for such an extensive period of time
Mhm.
that it's easier in that sense. It's hard because everything's live, but it's just a completely different ball game in my eyes. And so when you're doing an audition and you get a script, whatever it is, you already got things going on in your day as it is. But let's say you get an audition and it's like, 10 pages just full of lines, and you got to do this by tomorrow, right? There's very little prep time. So for
Mhm.
me, it helped a lot with that, because it's like, okay, what are my strengths and what can I bring to this already? What do I know I can already do? And then let's see the other parts where I need to fine tune and work. And also just being able to, dive into a script and, figure out a character quickly, figure out the what the motive is and the situation of the scene. Like, all those things I learned at school. So
Yep.
it absolutely helped me in, doing Dark Matter and getting those scripts and figuring out that character, and then preparing. But then as soon as you get on set, you're just able to play. And that's it, right? I want to do all the preparation, do all the hard work, so that I know who I am in this character and what is happening and all that. But that was the thing that was different for me in film and TV, was there has to be, I mean, that's just acting in general, I guess, right? It's just, there has to be room to play. I just feel like there's sometimes more room in film and TV, in the sense of, there's there is blocking, but you're figuring out the blocking on the fly with these people, and you're actually there, you know, wherever you're shooting, you're most of the time you're there and you can actually envision it. Whereas theater, it's a little different, but yeah, it's just yeah, more room to play and things like that. Like yeah, it's two different worlds, but you learn a lot from both.
Yeah, and you know, in theater, you have the opportunity to prepare, you have the opportunity to rehearse, you have the opportunity to, you know, kind of go
Right.
linear with the character as opposed to on screen. You know, it can be shot in all sorts of different ways and out of sequence, but you have multiple takes and you can really play. So it's like both are different, both have their
Yeah.
pluses and minuses, and you know, you adjust, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that toolkit is important, absolutely. So one thing that I found peculiar, kind of going back before I forget, because I keep on looking at my notes. I'm like, I need to ask him about his name, and I keep forgetting to bring it up. So talking about, you know, shooting out of sequence, by the way. So in terms of your name, you know, as soon as I saw Mishka, you know, I'm of the Russian background. So
Okay.
Mishka to me is a very familiar name
Yeah.
because name Michael or Misha in
Yeah.
Russian, we would refer to them, to people who we know, we would refer to
Right.
them as but I've never seen it here as a name. So where did that come about?
That is all my dad. That is just my dad loves different names. He just wanted us to have more unique names, and he liked certain names. I got two older brothers. One of them is named Nikolai, another Russian name, and the other one's York, which is
Okay.
Danish.
Yeah.
So he wanted, you know, some more unique names. He picked what he liked, and that was it. But it's too funny for me because that's all like people always ask if I'm Russian now. That's like
Yeah.
the most common question.
Do you know what it means, what Mishka means? Because that's why they're asking.
Yes, they're well. I've heard it from two. I've heard it from Russians, and then I've heard it from Polish people, and they're different meanings for both. Like one of them means bear, and one of them means mouse. I can't remember which one is which.
Uh, Actually, the mouse one sounds similar, but it's not the same. So the mouse one
Oh,
is Mishka, as
oh,
the Mishka is the little bear,
little bear, right?
Mishka versus Mishka.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness, it sounds
so
so similar.
I know. So it's close. You're right, but that's why you're here.
Yeah,
And by the way, you have candies that are bearing your name. So if you go to, and I know that in Toronto, you know, if
really?
you venture out, absolutely. If you venture out to a Russian store or an Eastern
Yeah,
European store that has Russian candy, there is a candy called Mishka. So
really? Oh, I gotta get that.
that's one thing. You know, if I was smart enough, I should have gone to a store nearby, grabbed the candy, and then introduce you to it. But
I'm
I'm not that smart. Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up. Don't worry, I'm gonna look that up. Someone had sent me a picture of a vodka that was Mishka vodka, and I laughed really hard at that. So
I
got some
see.
they got some products.
You have vodka, you have a candy. I'm sure there's more. You can have the whole Mishka collection. There you go.
Exactly.
That works. Very cool. Okay, thank you. I got that out of the way because before I was worried that I would forget to ask you that question. Um, so, what's the weirdest thing that ever happened to you on a set? You know, aside from wearing a skin tight suit and trying to race somebody.
Oh, weirdest. Oh, that's hard. Weirdest thing that's ever happened to me on a set. Oh, I gotta think about that.
I can ask you a
Weird.
different question and you can come back to this one if you like.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Think
Um,
about
so, out of the people, and again, you know, I seeing on IMDb where you've worked, I have an inkling of who you might say, but you never know. That's why I ask these questions. So, out of all of the people that you have worked, who would you say is the best actor?
Oh my goodness. That's that's hard. That is hard. I think I mean I'm pretty sure I know in my mind. I'm trying to think if there's anyone that well, there's quite a few, but I'll say I think the one that I was most just kind of in awe of, because I've seen him in so many
Mm.
things, so I already kind of had that, set up before even just meeting him and seeing him work.
Yep.
Is I mean, it's Carl Urban for me. I think
Yep.
Carl Urban playing Butcher. I just he's a great actor. He's been in so many things. I mean, it's hard not to be starstruck by the guy. And also he's just the nicest, just most humble guy I think I've ever met on set.
Yeah.
Yeah, he carries himself the most professional like I've ever seen. So he's a great example. So that also impacts you as well, because you're just like, not only is this guy just great and has every reason to be even a little bit cocky, he's
Yep.
not. He's so humble, just really really great. One that I didn't get to see act on set, but I got to meet and was pleasure to meet as well. Who I think is also a great actor is Simon Pegg. Uh,
Yeah.
he is amazing as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have to say Carl Urban.
Yeah, he's terrific, and I think every time I watch an episode of The Boys, then for the next hour or two, I have that accent that I keep on repeating. So it kind of it weans off later,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's it it's just so delicious that you can't help but but emulate it. I love it.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
he's great. I would agree with that. Which series or film out there that you're looking at, you're saying, guys, I'm perfect for this. I need to reach out to whoever just so I can be in it. Which one would that be for you?
Oh, mm,
I know as actors we
perfect
want to
for
be in
me.
everything, but
We
what's the
do. We
one?
do.
Like for me, by the way, as you're thinking, for me it's Billions. Billions
Oh,
is
that's a
is
great
the show
show.
where
That's a great show.
I want to be in it.
Yeah.
That's my show. I know the types of characters that I could play in that show. If my
Yeah.
agent is listening, Billions is where I want to be. I had three people from Billions on, and I talked to them about Billions. So it's
Oh, amazing.
my second favorite show of all time in terms of drama. Suits, by the way, which was shot in Toronto, is my third on that list.
That's
So
another
it
good
used to
show.
be Suits, but now it's Billions. So what is it for you?
I think I was thinking of a show that I've been watching that my partner and I have watched recently, that I would love to be on and think I would be great on is, because it's also a comedy and I would love to do a comedy like that, is Barry on HBO. I
Oh,
love that show. Like I love that show. They look like they just have so much fun. Like it's ridiculous. So so yeah, as one of the acting students in the class. Oh yes. Like I would
one
love
of
to
the
be on that
acting
show.
students, one of the acting students in the class is actually a Chicago guy.
No
Uh,
way. That's
yeah,
crazy.
and I don't know him, but yeah, I know of him, and
Gotcha.
he's a part of the community. Yeah, Barry is amazing.
Really good
Uh,
show.
what a great show. I love it. I don't think the new season has come out yet, right? I
No,
keep waiting.
no.
Yeah, because
I
he
I think they're having troubles with COVID as well, though. I think because
yeah
they're supposed to. I don't think they've even finished shooting season 3, or if how much have they shot. I don't know.
because he walked off, and it's like that ominous thing. I need to know what happens because there's the
Yes.
inherent part of you that doesn't want him to lose his humanity, and
Yeah.
you want him to cling to it as much as possible. So yeah,
That show is nothing like what I expected. It's so
right,
surprising. It just
yeah.
continues to surprise you. Like and I love just the different things they do. Like the one episode where it's just one hit job and it's just fighting throughout is hilarious. And
Yeah.
just they take some really neat creative things with the show. So it's nice.
Yeah, and there's crossover. So the the guy who played the Russian mobster, whose name escapes me at the moment, he's on Billions. He's a
Oh,
uh,
okay.
yeah, whose head got
Love that guy.
whose head got blown off.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a it just yeah it really it's one of my favorite shows, absolutely. So good one. I
Yeah,
because it hasn't been out for a while, it's kind of in the back of my mind. But that's a good one. I need to follow up and
yeah,
see
yeah,
when
yeah.
um, what's one thing that most people do not know about you?
Oof, one thing that most people don't know about me. Um, people I know, or just people, I guess people who just see me on shows and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, the people who see you on shows kind of know the characters that you play and know a little bit
Yeah.
about you from Wikipedia and whatever. But I'll give you an example. So I talked to George Newbern a few days ago. Actually, a
Okay.
few days ago. It seems like a few days ago since it was 3 interviews ago. But I talked to him yesterday. And George Newbern, we all know from File of the Bride and Scandal
Yeah.
and all these places. But when I asked him the question of what most people do not know about you, I was blown away because he's an olive farmer. So he has an olive farm at home. I would not have known that. So it's one of those things where like I wrote the
Good
question
example.
down initially just because I thought it was interesting, but the most interesting things came out of me asking that question. So I'm always going to be asking it from now on. So
Oh, interesting.
what's
Olive
that
farmer.
thing?
That's hard to follow. I can't come up with anything like that. I'm an olive farmer. But
Well, he was also a ballet dancer for 5 years, so I don't know if you
wow.
know, I know you
Wow.
played basketball. You're a LeBron fan, but
Okay, okay. That I was gonna say, I was like, well, basketball is a big part of my
yeah,
hobbies and what I do. And my team, by the way, is the Miami Heat, and they're in the NBA Finals. We probably
I,
won't win, but anyways. So
yeah,
yeah, basketball is definitely a huge thing. Uh, but I think the most thing I think I would say for people like that they don't know about me is that I speak Haitian Creole. I just think that that's the last thing people expect, or at least that they're always. I mean, the fact that people, if they look me up, they'll see that I'm from Haiti, just like you saw. So it's only if they look me up that they'll see that. But I do surprise people a lot that way, especially if in public, because there are Haitians within Canada quite often. I'll bump into some, and they'll be speaking Creole within each other, and I'll chime in and say a couple things, and it always shocks people. It's always just like,
that's
like
because again, you have no accent that I can detect. So
yes,
that
that's
that
that.
certainly would
That's
which
because of my dad. My dad speaks like 5 languages like fluently, and he's got no accent in like any of them except English for some reason. But but slightly, not even that much.
yeah,
Most people can't tell. So yeah, I definitely picked that up from him.
very cool. Well, maybe it's that Persian flaw, right? Just something to make himself even more interesting aside from the names he comes up with for his kids.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, in terms of your favorite team, do you know who drafted and made Jimmy be what he became? It's my Bulls. We know Jimmy because
Yeah.
we drafted
Okay.
him, we raised him, and then we threw him out when he started getting a big ego and he wanted everything to be isolation only. So yeah,
It's because we know how to handle him. Okay, we know
you're right.
he's in the right environment now.
You are right. You're right. The thing with Jimmy is like it was such a turn in Chicago because we love kind of players that are making themselves, right? So Scotty made himself. Jimmy, he was not a high pick. He went out of Marquette, so it was not a huge school, good school, but not a huge school. So he kind of built himself up, and he was started on defense and a really hard worker, and everybody was in love with Jimmy. And then he added offense to it, and we're like, Jimmy is amazing. And he was never kind of an speak your mind, ego driven dude, and everybody loved Jimmy. And then Jimmy decided that he views himself in a higher regard, and then it all went downhill from there. Like he didn't want to listen to coaches, he wanted ISO, and
Hey,
for as great as Jimmy is, basically Chicago said, we're done with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's when, he went and eventually found a home in Miami where he's doing great. So good luck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it didn't go downhill for him because he's now in the finals. So
No, he's doing great. And it was an interesting kind of an arc of Jimmy in Chicago. And I don't think kind of Chicago will ever, forgive itself for what could have been if, Jimmy was there and if, Derek didn't get hurt and all sorts of what happens.
I was always a big fan of Jimmy, though, even when he was in Chicago, especially coming out of Marquette, because my favorite player is Dwayne Wade, obviously, coming from Marquette. And so, there's so many similarities between those two guys. So when he came to Miami, I was like, yes, like I was ecstatic. I was like, this is the right place for him. So I couldn't be happier with him. Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, both Dwayne Chicago guys. So
that's true. That's true. That's true.
Unfortunately, he didn't come to Chicago earlier. When he and LeBron were supposed to go to Chicago instead of Miami. But it's yeah, we'll never get over that part either. So everybody uses the Bulls as their spot to land somewhere else.
Hey,
but not
you guys had Michael Jordan, okay? You guys have Michael Jordan, all right? You had it good. You had it good.
The funny part of that, by the way, is that the Berto Center where they used to train is like 20 minutes away from me, and my best friend's daughter. Bulls don't train there anymore because they train downtown by the United Center. But the Berto Center now is being utilized by kids. So my best friend's daughter, who's a really good basketball player, she's in 8th grade. So her camps and she plays in the Berto Center. So he sends me a picture. I was like, guess where she's training right now? And all of the banners are still there, and it's the Berto Center. I'm like, are you kidding me? So,
that's so cool.
Wow. Michael's house is still for sale here, by the way. I don't think he sold his house.
Really?
It's a custom-built house in Highland Park. He had, imported pine trees built, kind of planted around there. Jeez. The gate has 23 on it. I, of course, go by there.
Saw an article about that.
Yeah, it's still. I think it still hasn't been purchased. He tried selling, different ways. It still has not gone. From my understanding, I could be out of the loop.
Someone's bound to buy that. Someone's bound. It's Michael Jordan.
Just for that, you would think so. And there's, you have a court. You have an indoor, full-size NBA court right there that Michael was trained on.
That's nuts.
Right.
That's nuts.
All right. So, did you come up with who's the best actor that you've ever worked with?
Wait, no, I gave you that when I said Carl Urban.
Oh, sorry. The favorite project.
No, I gave you that one too. That was you mean the weirdest?
Weirdest thing. What am I? Okay.
Weirdest. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you, Mishka.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm still in my Michael memory bank.
Oh, weirdest moment on set. This is hard for me. I don't know if you have an example. Maybe do you have an example of your weirdest moment?
Of my weirdest moment? That's a good question. Because
I think I'd have there's a few. By weird, it could mean a lot of things. Like because I think examples for me of weird moments on set that I can think of are moments that I brought up to you where it's like seeing, like coming on set and seeing Carl Urban face to face, like that's weird to me because of watching, on TV so many things and especially being in Haiti. So it's a weird for me. Like when I saw Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, that was really weird for me because I'm a huge Home Alone fan. I love that movie growing up. Who didn't? And so that was weird because I saw you when I was a kid, and like now I'm like in your workplace like that. So those are weird to me. Those are definitely moments where I just like I stop and I'm thinking a lot in my head in the moment, and obviously putting on a facade of just being cool, calm, collected, and professional, even though in here it's going insane.
until you get to your trailer, and then you're like, ah.
Exactly, right? Like it's those to me are weird moments, like that
That's
I
weird.
can think of off the top of my head.
By the way, I remembered the weirdest moment for me on set. So we were shooting a scene in which I'm holding a makeshift urn.
Okay.
This is on the lakefront of Chicago. I'm freezing my ass off. It is minus who knows what outside, and I'm wearing multiple layers, and it doesn't help. And we're shooting a scene in which I'm eulogizing, my character is eulogizing his daughter who committed suicide. So he's holding her
Oh
urn,
man.
and he is supposed to say the words and then throw her ashes into the lake. And
Okay.
it's so numbingly cold that on like the fourth take, your mouth doesn't move as well as it should be, and
Yeah,
then
I
the
know
wind
that.
changes, and I throw, and all of
It
that
came
goes.
back on you. That's a good one.
So
That's
that's
crazy.
I think that's the weirdest that happened to me, because you're so into it, and the tears are real, and I'm crying because I, in that particular moment, early on in my career, I used the substitution method. So I'm substituting because I have my
Okay.
daughter. So I'm imagining all of that and then all this thing goes into my face. So yeah, that
That
was
is hilarious. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Oh, and it is hard working out when outside in the cold. Like that, I feel you 100% there because I've had a lot of moments where like it's hard to move your mouth and talk. And
Right.
and I'm like, I can't do that. I can't say it the way I'm trying to. And it's weird. It's a very weird thing.
And I'm wearing gloves. I'm wearing a hat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
No, suited
I
up.
thought I'm smart because I'm wearing multiple,
Yeah,
layers, and I put literally I took the kind of the thing you do when you go skiing, you put that underneath as
right.
the layer, the thermal kind of wear that's thin
Yeah,
but that protects you. So I'm very impressed with myself for kind of thinking through things. It doesn't help. My fingers are freezing
yeah,
inside of the gloves.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's yeah, the probably the weirdest feeling aside from the ashes in my face. Uh, it's just you're like
That's funny.
it starts getting to your breath. Dan Payne, who's from Vancouver. I don't know if you watch Flash for any research or not,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he was King Shark in there, and then he had to. I think they were. Where is it shot? Is it Vancouver or Toronto? I think maybe Vancouver.
Vancouver, Vancouver. Yeah,
So they had him go into the water, and he had to go into the water, stay there, and come back out. And he no shirt on because you're King Shark. Obviously, it's CGI, but he had to come out as himself as a human being. So they put him they put him
right.
and that, he said that thing was
That's gotta be
probably,
dangerous. Like I didn't know you actually did that. That's gotta be
yeah.
dangerous, man. Like,
He said that the stunt team beforehand, he just wanted to jump in there. The stunt team said no. We need to kind of splash some water on you before you do that because
yeah,
it'll literally take your breath away.
yeah.
And he said that he did I think 2 takes that it took them, and
How do you even do 2 takes?
I don't know. And Grant, he said Grant was such a sweetheart, coming out there was like, "Are you okay? Are you sure you want to do this?" They had, a hot bath, nearby to make sure that he's okay. But I don't know that my system would be actually able to handle that type of thing. So I'm happy I didn't have to do that. The things that actors have to go through just to make
Hmm.
it look good and real on screen, people please appreciate it. It's dangerous oftentimes.
Ex- yes.
All right, last question for you, my friend. If you had a chance to go back in time and talk to the young kid that's coming out of the acting school and give one piece of acting advice, what would that be?
um, I think the one piece of advice I give myself is to be patient.
Hmm.
I think I just think that early on you expect everything to come quickly and easily. I mean, yeah, it's hard not to, right? But to just kind of settle down, be patient, and just enjoy every single opportunity that you get, and then just to have fun with it, because it's always stressful, it's always full of nerves and things like that. But it's just given where I am at today, I think it's just which I was nowhere near that when I first came out of school, or being younger. It's just doing what you enjoy doing and just have fun with it. It's just have fun with it. Don't make it a job. Just don't, if you're having a tough time, you're stressing, whatever, just there's no point. Like just try to have fun with it. Remember why you're doing what you're doing, and hopefully you love what you're doing. And then you can just have fun with it. Be patient. Things will come. Things will come, and you just got to enjoy the ride. Just enjoy the ride.
All right. Well, now you came up with a title for the segment. Enjoy the ride. It was going to be have fun, 30 seconds ago. Now it's going to be enjoy the ride.
I prefer enjoy the ride. I like that.
Very cool.
I like that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you jumping on and sharing all the information and wisdom and knowledge and joy that you're bringing to it. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate this. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. And thanks to everybody for tuning in to another episode of The Love of Acting. We know you love it as much as we do, and that's why we do this. Thank you.